Many Christians imagine that spiritual attacks always look obvious. They imagine temptation arriving loudly with clear warnings and visible danger. But Scripture reveals something more subtle. The enemy often works through small distractions, things that appear harmless, things that slowly capture our attention, weaken our devotion, and move our hearts away from God without us even realizing it. The greatest danger is not always a dramatic fall. Sometimes it is a slow drift, a heart that becomes too busy, a mind that becomes too distracted, a soul that becomes comfortable without seeking God's presence. Today, we will uncover 7 silent ways Satan tries to distract faithful Christians every day, not to create fear, but to bring awareness. Because what is exposed can be resisted, and what is surrendered to God can be restored. The first silent distraction is losing focus through constant busyness. One of the easiest ways to become spiritually distracted is to fill our lives with so many responsibilities that we leave no room for God. Many things we do may be good: work, family, serving others, church activities, helping people. But even good things can become dangerous when they replace our relationship with God. Jesus showed this when he visited the home of Martha and Mary. Martha was serving. She was working. She was trying to do something valuable, but her heart became troubled because she was overwhelmed by many things. Jesus did not criticize her desire to serve. He showed her that something more important had been forgotten. Mary had chosen to sit at his feet and listen. The lesson is powerful. A person can be surrounded by good activities and still become spiritually distant. The enemy does not always need to make us do something evil. Sometimes he only needs to keep us constantly busy. Ask yourself, am I busy for God, or am I too busy to be with God? Because a distracted heart slowly loses sensitivity to his voice. The second silent distraction is the addiction to constant entertainment. We live in a world designed to capture attention every day. Our minds are surrounded by endless images, videos, opinions, and notifications. The question is not whether these things exist. The question is, who controls our attention? Jesus said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." What receives our attention eventually influences our heart. Entertainment itself is not the enemy. Rest and enjoyment can be gifts from God. But when entertainment receives the time, energy, and passion that belong to our relationship with God, something begins to change. A person may spend hours feeding the mind, but only minutes feeding the soul. Slowly, silence becomes uncomfortable. Prayer becomes difficult. Scripture becomes neglected. And the heart becomes spiritually hungry without realizing why. The enemy understands that distraction does not need to destroy faith instantly. It only needs to reduce our hunger for God little by little. The third silent distraction is the illusion of control. Many believers struggle with a Pharisaian hidden battle, the desire to control everything. We plan, we organize, we worry, we try to predict every possible outcome, but anxiety often reveals something deeper. We are carrying what God asked us to surrender. Jesus reminded his followers not to worry about tomorrow, not because tomorrow is unimportant, but because God is already there. The enemy wants believers trapped in fear of the future, because a mind consumed by worry struggles to experience the peace of God today. When we believe everything depends on us, we carry a burden we were never created to carry. Faith begins when control ends. Trust means placing tomorrow in God's hands while faithfully obeying him today. The fourth silent distraction is spiritual pride. This danger is especially difficult because it can hide inside religious behavior. A person can know Scripture, serve in ministry, pray often, appear spiritually strong, and still allow pride to grow inside the heart. Jesus warned about this through the example of the Pharisee and the tax collector. The Pharisee focused on his own righteousness. The tax collector simply cried out for mercy. Jesus showed that God looks deeper than external appearance. Spiritual pride says, "I am better. I already know enough. I don't need correction." But humility says, "Lord, continue changing me." The enemy loves pride because pride closes the door to growth. A humble heart can receive correction. A proud heart cannot. The safest place for a believer is not a position of self-confidence. It is dependence on God. The fifth silent distraction is listening to the wrong voices. Every day, we are influenced by voices, friends, culture, media, opinions, social platforms. The question is, which voices are shaping your heart? The Bible warns that bad influences can corrupt good character. Not every voice deserves access to your mind. The enemy often does not need to remove God's truth. He only needs to surround us with enough noise that we stop hearing it clearly. A believer must learn discernment. Not every popular opinion is biblical. Not every emotional message is truth. Not every confident voice is trustworthy. The voice of God must remain greater than every other voice. The sixth silent distraction is a numb heart. One of the most dangerous spiritual conditions is not rebellion, it is indifference. A person can continue religious activities while their heart slowly becomes distant. Jesus warned the church in Ephesus about losing their first love. They had knowledge, they had works, but something important was missing. Their passion for God had weakened. Numb heart usually does not happen overnight. It happens slowly. Less prayer, less hunger for Scripture, less desire for God's presence, until someone realizes they are doing things for God without truly walking with God. The good news is that God restores hearts. He calls us back. He renews our passion. He brings life where there was emptiness. The seventh silent distraction is, I will take God seriously tomorrow. Perhaps one of the most dangerous thoughts a person can have is, later. I will pray later. I will change later. I will seek God more seriously someday. But tomorrow is not guaranteed. Every day is a gift from God. The enemy loves delay because delay feels harmless. But repeated delay becomes a lifestyle. The Bible says, today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. God invites us to respond today, not when life becomes easier, not when we have more time, not when everything is perfect. Today. So how do we overcome these silent distractions? We return to what matters most. Stay close to God's Word. Protect your attention. Examine your heart. Choose humility. Seek wise influences. Spend time in prayer. And remember that your relationship with God is not maintained by perfection. It is maintained by surrender. The enemy wants distraction, but Jesus offers restoration. The enemy wants distance, but Jesus invites relationship. The enemy wants you spiritually asleep, but God calls you to wake up. So ask yourself today, what has been receiving the attention that belongs to God? What distraction has quietly entered your heart? And what step is God asking you to take today? Because a heart focused on Christ is a heart that cannot be easily controlled by distraction. Stay close to Him, seek Him daily, and never forget, the greatest victory is not simply avoiding danger, it is walking faithfully with God.